So this episode of The Boys featured probably the biggest death we've had so far. R.I.P. Mother's Milk's favourite jacket. Because, yeah, he's never getting that stuff out of it. It's gone. Can you imagine taking that to the dry cleaners and being like, can you please fix this, clean this? And they're just like, what is this? He's like, you know what it is. And they're like, what do you mean? And he's like, you know what it is. Clean it. And they're just like, no. Get out of my shop. No. And then he's sitting there at home, like scrubbing in the shower, trying to wash it. It's just not worth it. I know it's his favorite jacket, just he's gonna have to let it go. Hey guys, I'm Jax, and this is my spoiler review for The Boys episode 6, HEROGASM. HEROGASM is finally here, everyone, and The Boys outboyses itself once again with dicks on fire, tentacle, giant dick, love sausage man, just lots of craziness. We get a little sex pest Ant-Man again. But the thing that really stood out to me around all the crazy sexual deviant superhero stuff is that this episode was just an exceptional kind of episode for two characters sitting around having beautifully heartfelt, emotional, powerful, devastating scenes. And like the dialogue and the writing in this episode was so good. The characters like having little interactions. We've got A-Train and Huey and Starlight, Butcher and Mother's Milk, like Soldier Boy and Homelander. Like there were just so many incredible interactions in an episode that has the love sausage reappear and a giant sex orgy. I didn't really know what I thought the HEROGASM was going to be. I'd heard about it, the infamous HEROGASM. I was like, is it going to be like a red wedding thing, or it's like this one moment? Is it a bunch of moments? Like, what is it going to be? Turns out, just a big superhero orgy. It's got everything you'd expect from a big superhero sex orgy, but that's really not what kind of sticks in my mind. It's just like, we get the big epic fight between Soldier Boy, Homelander, Butcher gets involved, he's like, I'm also a Superman, all that stuff. But the character interactions and the scenes where they all talk, just exceptional. This show is becoming easily one of my favorite things. I'm just loving what they're doing with everyone right now in the show. Particularly A-Train and Starlight. Starlight this episode, like it's her episode, and she essentially says, nah, I'm done with this. First with Head Popper Lady, she's like, no, I'm not going to be awful. Even though every single person in the show is awful, I choose to be the only one that's not awful. And it's such a beautiful, amazing moment. And then at the end when she's like, actually, you know what? I'm just going to make a video. I'm going to call out Homelander. I'm going to call out Soldier Boy. I'm just going to call everyone out. And I quit. It's just like beautiful. And like what a gut punch at the end of the episode after so much crazy The Boys shenanigans and then a big team up fight where everyone's fighting and then Huey rocks up and he's like, I'm naked and I'm also fighting. We have such crazy epic kind of stuff happening. But her moment at the end was just such a brilliant kind of, I don't know, it felt like so fitting in such a crazy carnage sexual episode to have her just be like, I'm done with all this The Boys stuff. Last episode when it ended and she's like, Huey, don't team up with a murderer to kill another murderer. And I was like, I feel like this doesn't really work for the character. I didn't really buy her kind of turning on the boys and, you know, kind of splitting up the team. But this episode, just the way she kind of explained herself and the way her and Huey have this kind of fight, and she's like, wow, Huey, you're like really insecure and like you got to be the tough macho man and kind of, oh, I thought the drugs were screwing with you and all that stuff. I was like, oh, I'm really buying their kind of separation, their split as characters. And having the boys cut so strongly down the middle with Mother's Milk and Starlight on one side and then Huey and Butcher on the other side, their moral kind of dilemma and argument, like this truly feels like a proper civil war of the boys. Like it's really powerful stuff. Like that scene with Mother's Milk and he's just like, let me pass, let me get him. And he's like smashing the bat and Butcher's just like, no. I don't know. All really great, beautiful interactions. Like I found it really crazily compelling and just kind of like heartbreaking, like really devastating stuff. Like when they all walk out of the building after Soldier Boy's done all this destruction, they've had their big punch up, team up moment. Just that look they give each other where they're just like, Mother's Milk, like, nah, this isn't good enough, Butcher. How dare you? And it just, I don't know, beautiful stuff. Really brilliantly performed, really well acted. I'm really enjoying this split. Speaking of the boys being split, it kind of feels like it's such a great dynamic right now with these, you know, four people. And they're just like, oh, but also Frenchie and Kimiko, where do they fit in? Maybe just have them do a little side quest, a little Frenchie side quest, and just, I don't know, push them away, because for some reason they don't fit into this kind of dynamic right now. And I don't know, it kind of feels like, oh, there was a really horrifically violent scene with Kimiko just stabbing a man when he's dead, like 10 seconds ago, just stabbing. It's horrifyingly kind of gory. But that whole Nina subplot just feels so random and kind of not to do with like the boys and like the superheroes and the corporate side of everything and celebrities but they're superheroes. The Imagine video, but superheroes, and Ashton Kutcher and Patton Oswalt and. Crazy to see so many cameos of celebrities mocking other celebrities doing like a parody of the Imagine video that Gal Gadot and other people did. I don't know why she's the only one I can remember that was in that, but incredible stuff. But all that boys stuff where they're taking shots at celebrities and corporate America and all that stuff. It feels so kind of tightly tied to all the characters. And then Frenchie and Kamiko's story is just kind of like there. And it's fine, but I don't know, that's kind of the weak element of the story so far. Kind of this season has easily been my favorite by far, but their story is a bit kind of like, Dean Winchester's Soldier Boy is stealing the show. He's so awesome. Every time he's on screen, I'm just like, oh, I can't handle how cool and charismatic he is, but he's so like, dangerous and scary and awful because, he's part of the boys, and his kind of, revenge, I've got to kill everyone that was in my team. It's a pretty, like, generic cliche kind of story, but it just shows how great he is in this role, that it's just utterly captivating, and it's so cool to see him, reintegrate into the new society, the modern day, and we finally get a bit of that kind of old traditional stuff where it's like, oh, men of my day were men, and we're not these Nancy boys that I'm seeing around here. Oh, men don't wear thingies like that. Oh, I'm a real man's man. And we get a little bit of that, which is pretty funny stuff. He's just so compelling. So Soldier Boy and Homelander, they have a big fight, and then Butcher rocks up and he's like, I'm also a Superman. And they have a fight, and there's a big threesome fight thing going on, three-way fight, and then Huey rocks up and he's like, I'm also here and naked. That little moment of Homelander has been like, what the hell, why is this guy naked? I love that moment with Homelander where he realizes Butcher's got Homelander superpowers now, and he's just like, what have you done? And just having that moment of realization of just like, what is going on? Like, and then they have their big laser vision off situation, which was a lot of fun, just so good. And I'm really glad that this isn't the one and done fight, because there's just so much kind of tension between these two characters. I do think we need, not just one. Have a second fight later, which presumably we'll have in the finale of this season. Such a great fight. I love that it wasn't big, flying about, buildings falling down, everything. It was just like it was just in one room and mostly just punching the hell out of each other. Just like really vicious punching. I loved the cape bits where it's like, your cape sucks, you're a loser, look at your cape. And then he grabs the cape and uses it. Edna from The Incredibles would be very proud. I love their little kind of conversation beforehand where he's like, I looked up to you. Soldier Boy's like, you're a joke, man. Look at your cape. And then he grabs the cape and he hits him down with the cape. It's so good. Oh, I genuinely thought Homelander was going to die or have his powers taken. Like, I thought it was like, oh my God, they're going to do it. It's like shockingly early. Like, you're not going to end the season with that. You're going to do it in episode 6. That's crazy. But they're all tied down. And that ferocity, like, his eyes are gliding up. He's just like, and bursts out, flies away. I haven't been so happy a villain's got out of a situation where they might have died in so long. Like, I love Homelander so much, even though, he's the worst. He's just so compelling to watch. I find him so fascinating. This episode, we got one of the best Homelander scenes where Homelander just talks to Homelander in the mirror, and you get this dark, perverse part of Homelander that's just like, you're a coward for being even a little bit human. You gotta weed that out. We gotta cut it out like a cancer. And just those close-up shots, just dead on, just talking back to himself. Terrifying. It's like a whole Gollum Smeagol kind of situation. But with Homelander, it's so much more scary. It's just like, Jesus, this is like the first time we've probably gotten a scene like that. But is this what's going on all the time? Like, is he just slowly going insane? This is, I don't know. His performance every week, I don't know how else to put it. He's just perfect. He's just so compelling, so exciting. My favorite part of this episode, except for every time Soldier Boy just stands there doing anything and I'm just like, Dean Winchester, I love him. He's awesome. But also this character Soldier Boy is really good and they're doing it well. I don't know. I feel like I'm fanboying because it's just Jensen Ackles just being awesome and he looks so good in that suit with his shield. Oh, I also love that bit where Huey's trying to pick up the shield and it's just like a really heavy shield so he can't pick it up. Lots of fun. Apart from every single second Soldier Boy's just there on screen, I'm just like, A-Train. A-Train's moments in this episode were brilliant. Like, he's like, we've got to do something with Vought. Vaught's got to take out Blue Hawk, or whatever that guy's name is. The racist guy. We've got to we've got to do something about this. And Ashley's just like, no! Tearing her hair out, freaking out, having another brilliant Ashley moment where she's becoming that kind of CEO that she needs to be and just standing up to these superheroes and they're like, no! we're going to do our corporate thing. No. We're going to stand united. All that kind of bullshit, which is so great to see her just building up that confidence, which is probably going to bite her in the ass eventually. But yeah, loving her so much. But A-Train's moment, and I didn't know. I was really hoping that we would get a kind of a redemption arc for A-Train, because he's our original villain. He's the man that ran through Robin at the first scene of the show. And since then, you're kind of like, oh, I hope they kill him. How dare he? He's the worst. But then I was like, it really would be satisfying if he, plows through a bunch of racists, or he does something with his superpowers and then has a heart attack and dies. And that is literally what happens. But it was just so satisfying. Like, when sometimes you go, I think this should happen because it just, they've set it up, it lines up, it'd be satisfying. And then exactly that happens, but you're not like, oh, well, I saw that coming. So it's not, it's still satisfying to have something where you almost feel like it's like inevitable. Like, it's such a perfectly rounded out character arc to have him run really fast, just dragging this, and the way they did it, just dragging him across that body at the end, all mush and scarred. Just somehow this show can continuously just be gross and grosser and grosser, and I don't get like desensitized. Like, I wasn't like, a mushed body, it's the boys. It was just like horrifying to see, and then the inevitable kind of heart attack, or his heart failing due to the running really fast, and it's just beautifully satisfying and like kind of really poignant and tragic, and just kind of like, wow, this guy was the worst. And now I feel like it's like a fist bump moment of him murdering this racist and sacrificing his own life to do it. Yeah, he could have just probably not run that fast and just killed him, but it just feels satisfying to have it play out like this. But what I didn't predict or expect, and it was just such a beautiful scene, the actor of A-Train just killing it, is when he meets Huey in the sex party and is like, get out of here, Pornhub, they have a quick exchange where he's all just like angry, he's like, ugh. But then he's like, apologize to me. And A-Train's apology is devastating. It's so raw and emotional, and it's such a great thing, because like Ashley tells him off being like, how dare you, you're a psychopath and a murderer, and you're a piece of shit that doesn't care about anyone, but now that someone that you love and is hurt and forever damaged by being paralyzed, now you're all high and mighty. And it's such a great kind of morally complex, it's all grey, black and white kind of situation where, yeah, well, of course. And he just kind of suddenly hits him. He's been a monster. He deserves to die. Like, he's a piece of shit. And his apology is so raw and beautiful. And it just, I don't know. I really, really liked it. And I love that Huey's like, wait, what the hell? How dare you actually be sorry? Like, I feel like he didn't expect him to apologize and for it to be sincere. So he doesn't know how to handle it. He just punches him. Just really great interactions. This episode just had so many brilliant one-on-one conversations that were just so powerful and emotional. Like, for an episode that's got a man, his dick's on fire, a big tentacle dick, there's just all this sexual stuff going on, and there's a lot of, boobs and stuff around, lots of dicks everywhere, and all that kind of gross, the boys stuff. But really, this episode just, I don't know, it was easily the best for all that crazy, insane stuff, but it was also easily the best for just the human interactions and the one-on-one conversations we got with all these characters. Like, I don't know. This show is now becoming easily one of my favorite things. It's just so brilliant. It's not just superheroes, but gory and sexual and stuff. It's just such a great, story being told through this superhero world of nonsense and insanity. And I'm loving every second of it. And I can't really predict what's going to happen. Like, I think the only thing that I can kind of predict is that Soldier Boy probably won't last until the end of the season. Like, he'll probably die at the end of the season. Kind of, the Stormfront of season 3. And I think that Homelander will lose his powers. But in terms of the boys, and are they going to be separated forever now? Like, it feels like that rift it's becoming very dangerously, that chasm between them is just splitting and splitting and splitting. And I can't really see, Starlight and Huey kind of reconnecting. Like, that fight they had was a lot. The Deep continues to be an utter delight to watch. Just so funny all the time. I knew they were going to do something fishy or something, but to actually see him just having sex with an octopus and Starlight walking in, I don't really know why Starlight walked in. Like, I don't know, maybe she couldn't tell it was the Deep, but I felt like I could tell and I could hear, and I saw the aquarium thingy, so the fish tank or octopus tank, and I was like, what's the Deep? Why is she going in? Like, he's a sex pest. He throat raped her, as they keep saying and stuff. So why did she want to walk into a room if he's doing some weird sex stuff? But I don't know, just her face seeing him have sex with that octopus, and then when he's running away, he's like, I don't want to hear it right now. He's got the octopus in a big bag, of water. Oh, it's just so funny. Like, In Peacemaker, we've got the jokes where it's like, Aquaman has sex with fish. We do have sex with fish. Oh, he's sexist with fish. But, I don't know, you can pay lip service to that stuff, but to actually have the Aquaman of your show having sex with an octopus. Incredible stuff, like... Who knew that time that, you know, he was talking to Timothy when he was having sex and he was like, oh yeah, look at all those arms. That was just a setup for this payoff. Like, that was probably the funniest part of the episode. Just, the deep is an utter delight. That actor is just killing it. He's so just ludicrously funny. And yeah, I don't really have anything else to say except that him having sex with the octopus was insane. There was something so insanely horrifying about seeing little Ant-Man in all the carnage and being like, oh, little termite Ant-Man, sex pest Ant-Man. No one's going to be able to see him. There's too much, like, he's so small, can he not turn big again? He's just like, help me, help me. And then the foot of Homelander comes down, that sploosh of blood. Just, that was probably the most like, oh, because you almost forget how small he is. And it's just a foot. It's just deeply upsetting, but, you know, sex pest Ant-Man, not a good guy, so he's dead now, I guess. Homelander accidentally killed him without even realizing it. Just, oh my god, just... This show, man, it freaks me out. Thanks for watching, guys. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and comment below. I'd love to know what everyone thought of HEROGASM! It finally came! Terrible.